Yuri begged to his father Rook to take him along because he wanted to see the disease himself. Yuri's mother Suzuya was worried since he is just a child, so she was against the idea and tried to stop him, but Rook stopped her. Rook allowed Yuri to join him, but only if he listens to his instructions. And Yuri agreed to his terms. The next morning, they traveled down the south by riding a king eagle. The town set up a smoke signal so they can see where they can land. After landing the king eagle, Rook tied the reins to a nearby tree while Yuri rummaged through his knapsack. Yuri gave Rook a cloth which confused him, not knowing the purpose of the cloth. Yuri explained that he should cover his nose and mouth, and this will reduce the chances of him getting infected by the epidemic. And Yuri replied, asking him what would he do, and if he spread the epidemic once he gets back to the mansion and spread it to the whole household. Few minutes later, they walked around the town. Every house was closed and people were afraid of the epidemic. An old man explained that they have gotten into a very troublesome situation. If anyone gets injured, they just put medicine on the wound, but they can't do anything about the epidemic. They were just living a peaceful life, but for some reason they started facing the Great Land's wrath, or maybe it's a curse. Yuri thought that this epidemic was brought by the Kura people in the olden times. And the people in this world have no idea on viruses and pathogens, so their only choice was to pray to God. They arrived at a house that's been isolated in the town. The old man said that this is where they gathered all the infected people. The healthy people are taking turns on taking care of them. Yuri said that they will go inside and take a look, and instructed to close the doors once they're inside. They opened the door, and dust inside came out. After the dust settles, Yuri saw what was inside, and he was shocked. He saw every single infected people barely hanging on their lives. The people were severely infected, and their whole body was filled with blisters. Some have given up, and the others were scratching their bodies constantly. Yuri looked at them with pity and fear. He thought that this was the worst possible scenario. He advised Rook not to touch any infected person. The wall, the food, or anything inside shouldn't be touched. Rook, trying to understand what Yuri meant, he looked around and saw the infected struggling and vomiting. He thought that this is such a bad situation. One of the infected asked for some water. Rook noticed him and tried to give him a cup of water, but Yuri suddenly grabbed his hands and pulled him outside the building. Rook was surprised. He asked what was wrong. He said that he should at least give them water. But Yuri didn't listen to him and instructed him that they should shut the door immediately. Once they were outside, the people locked the doors again. Rook asked what happened to him. They just entered the place, and Yuri immediately rushed back. Yuri said to his father that he cannot go inside the room because he will get infected by the disease. Rook replied that Yuri always exaggerates stuff. Yuri thought that it's not exaggeration because he knows what kind of disease it was. It was smallpox. Smallpox is a carrier that's caused by variola virus. When the disease develops, blisters appear all over the body, even on the internal organs of the person. Afterwards, there's inflammation on the whole body, there's a high fever, and those with low physical strength dies with a mortality of 10%. The source of the infection is the patient's pus, which breaks out the blisters when the skin is scratched, contaminating clothes and objects that were used. That's the reason why they should never touch the patient or anything inside the patient's room. And staying inside the patient's room is the same as getting locked up in a swamp that's been infected by the virus. Yuri protested to go back to the mansion. But Rook disagreed, saying that he decided to help out this village's people, and to counter this problem even Yuri will help out. Rook told the villager to gather everyone and bring some clothes, food, and water inside. Yuri told him to wait. He told Rook that if he gathers people to this place, the infection will only worsen. Even if he manages to save 100 people, he will be spreading it to 1,000 other people. This angered the villagers. They thought that Yuri thinks their village isn't important. They shouted that their family and friends are dying, and he was asking them to only watch them suffer. Rook tried to de-escalate the situation, saying that they will not abandon the village. The old man went towards to Yuri and said that he would like to show them something. The old man showed them the place where all the people that died by the disease. He added that they can't hold a funeral since there were so many of them. Rook replied that he thought it was an ordinary smoke. He didn't think that it was for this. The villagers whispered to each other that they need to help their family, and that Rook brought a useless kid. While the old man requested Rook's help to aid the village, Yuri realized that the way he spoke earlier was wrong due to the tense pressure, but he still thought that they have no idea what this epidemic can do. He thought that no matter what kind of excuse he makes, from the adult's point of view, it's just a child seeing a sick person and complaining to go home. But if prevention measures are not taken and a large number of people gather, there's a possibility that an outbreak of infection will spread not only to the Hao territory, but also to the entire country, resulting to more deaths. The village, the territory, the country, or the family. After weighing these, the one that Yuri chose was the memory of his time when he was young popped up in his mind. He talked to his father again, and he apologized for how he acted earlier. Then he requested that they should listen to his suggestion at least once. The villager tried to protest, but Rook was quick to stop him. Rook then agreed, but this will be the final time that he will listen, so he asked what Yuri wanted to say. Yuri replied that it was a method to save everyone's family. Few minutes later, they went in the farm. Yuri wanted to meet a farmer around who sells milk. He was sure that the people there wouldn't be affected by the disease. Rook saw the children and they weren't infected by the disease. He thought that it was just coincidence. Yuri replied back that it was not the case. He explained that these people developed immunity from milking and drinking their cow's milk. After reaching the barn, Yuri said that it was what he expected. They both looked at the cow. They noticed that the cattle were infected by the disease. Yuri explained that there's a similar disease that affects cows. However, cows do not die even after they get infected. And even if it infects humans, the symptoms are mild, and once infected, they will not develop variola virus. They gained immunity to the floating pox due to milking an infected cow so many times. At most, they would develop a few blisters and get physically weak. Rook asked, how was that a reason for them not to get infected? Yuri answered, that's because their body have already fought a similar virus and gained experience. That means even if they get a fatal disease, their body won't lose due to the experience. Yuri thought that in Japan it was called cowpox, which was relative to the smallpox. They get immunity by being infected by a weakly virulent type of cowpox. Once infected by this and recover, they will never get smallpox again. That process is called vaccination. In other words, the plan is to administer smallpox vaccinations and immunize all residents. First, they will take cowpox and apply it on something like a needle. Then take that and apply it on a small wound so that they get infected by the cowpox. After getting infected, they will show mild symptoms for a while, and after the body recovers from the weak virus, they'll be totally immune to similar viruses. Rook asked him where he read about this, and how come he never came across of this cure. But Yuri wasn't able to answer. He just knows that this will definitely cure the infected people. Rook said, all right, since Yuri is saying this with confidence, then they will try it, and put his trust to Yuri. Yuri was glad and thanked his father for believing in him. 4 days later, after Rook and Yuri have taken the vaccination, even if there were symptoms, they're likely to be mild. After that, all the people in the village were given the vaccination. To calm everything down, the village was quarantined for a while. And because the people who took the vaccine were not being affected anymore, the vaccination was a success. After returning to the mansion, they removed the clothes and took a bath to not spread the virus. They isolated the clothes in a drawer, which may have the virus. Yuri was grateful that his father supported him, even though he was smiling bitterly. In the end, they got through the situation because his father trusted him and didn't doubt his methods. But Yuri realized that even with all his knowledge from his previous life, if he was put in a situation where he can't do anything, he wondered if he would even be able to save any other person. After a few months, they went to the royal capital Shibuyaku. They rode the carriage together. Yuri's parents were excited, while Yuri looked at them troubled. Yuri said that they don't need to accompany him for something like this, and asked, was it necessary to bring them along? Rook disagreed, saying that it was obvious that we'll accompany him because they're his parents. He added that it's the entrance ceremony for freshmen, while Suzuya said that she just wanted to see Yuri's performance, so there's no reason to feel bothered. Rook then said that all the children are accompanied by their parents, so there's no reason to feel embarrassed. And Suzuya cheered for Yuri. Yuri embarrassed, he replied that he will do his best. After reaching the academy, Rook said to Yuri that maybe one of these kids will be his best friend. Yuri looked around and saw the other students. He thought that his school life is about to begin in the Knights Academy. And this marks the end of Chapter 10.
Like and subscribe, and click the bell icon so you can be notified for future updates. For other videos like this, click here. Thanks for watching.